My fiancé demanded, "Fire your business partner. I don't like how she looks at you." My partner was my 68-year-old mentor who'd invested her life savings in our startup. I said, "Let me consider this." Then I bought out my fiancé's small investment in the company and ended the relationship. When our business won Startup of the Year 6 months later, original post. I, 32 male, started my company 3 years ago with a woman who changed my life. She's 68 years old, a retired marketing executive who spent 40 years building brands for Fortune 500 companies. I met her when I was 24, fresh out of business school, clueless about how anything actually worked. She was consulting part-time, semi-retired, looking for interesting projects. She took me under her wing when nobody else would. Spent hundreds of hours teaching me everything: negotiation tactics, how to read a room, when to push, and when to walk away. When I had the idea for my company, she didn't just encourage me. She put $175,000 of her retirement savings into it. Said she believed in me more than she believed in the stock market. For 3 years, we've built this business together. She handles client relationships and strategy. I handle product development and operations. We've grown from 2 people in a shared office space to a team of 14 with real revenue. Not a unicorn. Not going to make anyone a billionaire, but a solid, growing B2B software company that's actually profitable. My fiancée has been in my life for 2.5 years. We got engaged 8 months ago. She's smart, ambitious, works in pharmaceutical sales. When we first started dating, she seemed supportive of my business. She even invested $15,000 when we were doing a small friends and family round about 18 months ago. I was touched by the gesture. Things started changing about 6 months ago. My fiancée began making comments about my business partner. Little things at first. "She's very touchy with you," or "Why does she need to call you on weekends?" I explained that we're business partners, that my mentor has been like a second mother to me, that our relationship is purely professional and familial. She didn't seem convinced. Then came the jealousy. My fiancée started asking to see my text messages with my business partner. She'd interrogate me after work meetings. "What did you talk about? Did she touch your arm? Why are you smiling when you talk about her?" I'm not smiling because I'm attracted to a 68-year-old woman. I'm smiling because I genuinely enjoy working with someone who taught me everything I know about business. But explaining that felt pointless. My fiancée had decided there was something going on, and no amount of reality was going to change her mind. Last week, she issued her ultimatum. We were having dinner at home, and she put down her fork with that look on her face. The "we need to talk" look. "I've been thinking about our future," she said. "About the wedding, about kids, about everything." "Okay. And I've realized that I can't marry you while she's still in the picture." "While who's still in the picture?" "Your business partner." She did air quotes. "I don't like how she looks at you. I don't like how much time you spend together. I don't like that she calls you on weekends and that you drop everything when she needs something." She's my mentor. She's 68 years old. We run a company together. I don't care how old she is. I want her gone. Buy her out, fire her, I don't care. But if you want to marry me, you need to choose her or me. I sat with that for a moment. Really let it sink in. This woman, my mentor, my business partner, my second mother, had invested her life savings in me when I was a nobody with a dream. She'd spent 3 years building something alongside me, working weekends, taking calls at midnight, believing in our vision. And my fiancé wanted me to fire her because she was jealous of a 68-year-old grandmother. "Let me consider this," I said. My fiancé smiled, clearly thinking she'd won. "Thank you. I knew you'd see it my way." I saw it, all right, just not the way she expected. The next morning, I called my lawyer. My fiancé's $15,000 investment in the company had bought her a small equity stake, about 2%. Standard friends and family terms, nothing special. I asked my lawyer what it would take to buy her out. Technically, she's a minority shareholder with no voting rights. You can offer to buy her shares at fair market value. She can accept or refuse. And if she refuses, she keeps her shares but has no operational control. You can continue running the business however you see fit. Good enough. I drafted an offer, $22,000 for her 2% stake. A significant premium over her investment, reflecting the company's growth. I sent it to her via email with a brief note. I think it's best if we end both our personal and business relationship cleanly. Please sign the attached buyout agreement, and I'll wire the funds within 48 hours. She called me within minutes. What I asked this? It's a buyout offer. You wanted me to choose, so I chose. You chose her. I chose not to fire a 68-year-old woman who invested her life savings in me because my fiancé is inexplicably jealous of her. This is insane. You're throwing away our future over some old lady. I'm ending a relationship with someone who thinks it's appropriate to demand I betray my mentor. That's not jealousy. That's a fundamental incompatibility in values. You can't be serious. Sign the papers and take the $22,000. It's more than you invested, and it's more than fair. She hung up on me. I changed the locks on my apartment that afternoon. She'd been spending most nights at her own place anyway, so her belongings at mine were minimal. A toothbrush, some clothes, a few books. I packed in a box and left them with my building's front desk for pickup. She hasn't signed the papers yet, but she also hasn't tried to come by or blow up my phone. Radio silence for 5 days now. I told my business partner what happened. She hugged me, called my ex-fiancé a complete fool, and then said, "Now let's go win that pitch next week. We're finalists for a major contract. Biggest potential client in our company's history. My mentor and I have been preparing for weeks. Win or lose, I know I made the right choice." Update 1, 3 weeks later. A lot has happened since my last post. Let me catch you up. First, we got the contract. Not just got it, absolutely crushed the pitch. My business partner's 40 years of experience, combined with the product we've built, created a presentation that the client called the most compelling thing we've seen in months. We signed a 2-year deal worth $340,000 annually. Our biggest client by a factor of 3. When I called my mentor to celebrate, she said, "This is just the beginning. I always knew you had it in you." Then she told me she was proud of me, and I'm not ashamed to admit I got a little choked up. Now, about my ex-fiancée. She signed the buyout papers. Took the $22,000 without comment. Wire transfer completed, done. I thought that was the end of it. It was not. About a week after she signed, I started getting messages from mutual friends. "Hey, I heard you guys broke up. What happened? She said some stuff about you at brunch. Wanted to check in. Is it true you fired your business partner over her?" Wait, what? I called one of my closer friends in the group, someone I trusted, to give me the real story. "She's been telling people you had an emotional affair with your business partner," my friend said. "She's saying she caught you texting inappropriately, and when she confronted you, you chose the other woman over your fiancé. My business partner is 68 years old. Yeah, she's not mentioning that part. And there was no affair, emotional or otherwise. I believe you, but not everyone's hearing your side first." I thanked him and hung up. Then I sat there, genuinely stunned. My ex-fiancée was spinning a narrative where she was the victim of infidelity. She was deliberately omitting that my affair partner was a retirement-age grandmother. She was poisoning the well with mutual friends before I could even explain what actually happened. Part of me wanted to fight back, call everyone, explain myself, defend my reputation. But then I thought about it more carefully. The people who believed her version without asking me weren't really my friends. They were acquaintances at best, people who would side with whoever talked to them first. And the people who actually knew me, my real friends, would ask questions before judging. So I decided not to engage, not to chase down rumors, not to defend myself to people who hadn't bothered to ask. I did one thing. I wrote a simple message and sent it to 5 close friends who'd known me for years. If you've heard anything about my breakup, I'm happy to tell you what actually happened. My ex wanted me to fire my 68-year-old business partner and mentor because she was jealous of our professional relationship. I refused. That's the whole story. I'm not going to chase rumors, but if you want the truth, you can always ask me directly. 4 of them responded within hours expressing support. One asked for more details over a drink, which I gladly provided. By the end of that week, the people who mattered knew what really happened. The people who didn't, they could believe whatever they wanted. But then my ex escalated. She reached out to my business partner directly. I don't know how she got her email. Probably dug through old company newsletters or something, but she sent her a message that my mentor forwarded to me immediately. "I know you think you've won, but you should know that he'll do this to you too someday. Men like him always choose the next shiny thing. You're just useful to him right now. When he doesn't need you anymore, he'll throw you away just like he threw me away. I hope you're proud of yourself for destroying an engagement." My mentor's response was brief and perfect. "Ma'am, I'm 68 years old with a husband of 43 years and 3 grandchildren. I'm not sure what you think was happening here, but I assure you it was business. I'm sorry your relationship didn't work out, but I'd suggest looking inward rather than blaming a grandmother for your problems." She CC'd me on it. I saved both emails. Documentation is never a bad idea. My ex didn't respond, but I had a feeling this wasn't over. Update 2. 2 months later. Things have been busy. Good busy. Mostly, the big contract we won led to referrals, which led to more business, which led to us hiring 2 new team members. We're growing faster than we projected, which is a good problem to have. But my ex-fiancée wasn't done trying to make my life difficult. About 3 weeks ago, I got an email from a prospective client we'd been courting. They were interested in our software, we'd had a few good meetings, and I was feeling optimistic about closing the deal. The email was from their head of procurement. "Hi. Before we proceed, I wanted to address something directly. We received an anonymous email claiming that your company has significant internal issues, including hostile workplace dynamics and questionable ethical practices. We generally ignore anonymous complaints, but wanted to give you a chance to respond before we make our final decision." My stomach dropped. I asked them to forward me the anonymous email. They did. It was rambling and vague. Nothing specific enough to be actionable, but it clearly referenced our company by name and implied that working with us was risky. I didn't need a detective to figure out who sent it. I called my lawyer. She advised me that proving defamation would be difficult without direct evidence linking my ex to the email, and that pursuing legal action over an anonymous message would be expensive and time-consuming with uncertain results. But she also said this: if this becomes a pattern, document everything. Multiple instances of interference could strengthen a harassment or tortious interference case. So I documented. I saved the email, noted the date and time, and added it to my growing folder of ex-related documentation. Then I wrote back to the prospective client. "Thank you for bringing this to my attention. We're not aware of any internal issues or ethical concerns. Our team is strong, our clients are satisfied, and we're happy to provide references from anyone you'd like to speak with. Anonymous complaints are unfortunate, but we stand behind our work and our people. Please don't hesitate to reach out if you have any specific questions." They signed with us a week later. But the anonymous email wasn't the end. Around the same time, 2 of my LinkedIn connections received messages from a profile that, when I investigated, appeared to be fake. The profile had my ex's photo, but a different name, and it was messaging people in my professional network with vague warnings about being careful working with me. I reported the profile to LinkedIn. It was taken down within days. Then she went after my business partner again. This time, she didn't email. She called. My mentor was at home on a Saturday afternoon when her phone rang. Unknown number. She answered, and it was my ex, ranting about how my mentor had manipulated me into leaving the best thing that ever happened to me, how she was a predator who preyed on younger men to feel relevant, how karma would catch up with her. My mentor, being my mentor, recorded the call. In our state, you only need one party's consent to record, and she'd learned that lesson decades ago in the corporate world. When she played me the recording, I felt sick. This wasn't just jealousy anymore. This was unhinged. I called my lawyer again. With the recording, the fake LinkedIn profile, and the anonymous email, we had a documented pattern of harassment. She drafted a cease and desist letter, detailing each incident and warning that any further contact, direct or indirect, would result in legal action for harassment and tortious interference with business relationships. The letter was sent via certified mail with signature confirmation. My ex signed for it, and finally the contact stopped. Final update, 4 months later. 6 months after I ended things with my ex-fiancée, our company was nominated for Startup of the Year by the Regional Business Association. I didn't think we'd win. There were bigger companies in the running, flashier products, founders with more impressive pedigrees. We were a small B2B software company with solid growth and happy clients. Not the kind of sexy story that usually wins awards. But we won. My business partner and I accepted the award together at a gala dinner. She gave a speech about believing in people before they believe in themselves. I talked about the importance of mentorship and partnership. We got a standing ovation from a room full of people who'd watched us grow from nothing. The local business journal ran a story about us. So did a regional newspaper. A few tech blogs picked it up. Nothing viral, but enough visibility that people started recognizing our company name in ways they hadn't before. And then the photos started circulating. Me and my mentor at the gala, holding the award, smiling at the camera. The two of us shaking hands with the association president. A candid shot of her laughing at something I said during the dinner. Someone, I never found out who, sent those photos to my ex. How do I know? Because her mother called me. I hadn't heard from anyone in her family since the breakup. But her mother tracked down my number and called me at 8 p.m. on a Tuesday. I saw your company won an award. Yes, we did. My daughter saw the photos. She's very upset. I'm sorry to hear that, but I'm not sure what you want me to do about it. She's been struggling since you broke up. She really loved you. She demanded I fire a 68-year-old woman who invested her life savings in my dreams because she was jealous of her. That's not love. That's control. She made a mistake. She realizes that now. She sent anonymous emails to my prospective clients trying to sabotage my business. She created fake LinkedIn profiles to warn people about working with me. She called my business partner's personal phone and harassed her. That's not a mistake. That's a pattern. Silence. I had a lawyer send her a cease and desist letter. If she contacts me, my partner, or anyone in my professional network again, I will pursue legal action. I suggest you encourage her to move on with her life. You're being very cold. I'm being very clear. Please don't call me again. I hung up. Here's the thing about entitled people. They never see themselves as the problem. In my ex's mind, she was the victim. She asked for something reasonable, fire your mentor, and I overreacted, chose my mentor over her. Everything she did after the rumors, the anonymous emails, the harassment was justified because she was hurting. That's not how reality works. But you can't explain that to someone who's already decided they're right. As for where I am now, my company is thriving. The award brought us visibility, which brought us leads, which brought us new clients. We're projecting 40% growth this year. My mentor and I are talking about expanding into a second market next year. My personal life is quieter than it was, but that's okay. I'm not rushing into anything. I've learned what red flags look like, and I trust myself to recognize them earlier next time. My business partner and I celebrated the award with her husband and their grandkids. She made her famous pot roast. Her 7-year-old grandson asked me if I was the computer guy and then showed me his Minecraft world for an hour. It was the best celebration I could have asked for. Some people ask me if I ever regret choosing my mentor over my fiancée. If maybe I should have tried to compromise, found a middle ground, made it work. No, not for a second. The person I'm supposed to marry should support my dreams, not threaten them. Should respect my relationships, not demand I destroy them. Should trust me, not interrogate me about every text message. My mentor believed in me when I was nothing. She invested her life savings, her time, her expertise. She made me who I am professionally. And when push came to shove, my fiancé wanted me to throw all of that away because of baseless jealousy. The choice was never even close. Thanks for following along, everyone. Your comments and support during the harder moments meant more than you know. Time to get back to building.